Hello and welcome back to another Coaster Chicken Guide 2. Today we're going to be covering Chessington World of Adventures. Now Chessington World of Adventures sits in Greater London, in between the other two Merlin parks there, Thorpe and Legoland, and it's the perfect middle ground park. If you're looking for big thrill attractions, Thorpe Park's probably the place to head for. If you're looking for the kiddie rides, probably Legoland. But Chessington does manage to deliver family thrills and plenty of non-rider activity as well to get up to. Now, for me, Chessington is one of my favourite UK parks, mainly because there aren't any big extreme rides that are going to set off my anxieties. Plenty of things that I have braved over the last few years and feel really happy with achieving though. There are lots of other activities that if you don't want to get on rides, you're not a rider, you can enjoy, like the big zoo, all the shows that they put on as well. Now, if you are planning on doing a multi-park trip or several days at the park, I would highly recommend staying at the Safari Hotel. It is a bit pricey, but it has Disney level theming and you do have the view of the animals outside of your window. I've got to be honest, on our last trip, I got up around about 5 AM to go to the toilet. I had a look out of the window and there's a pair of giraffe walking. A major advantage to staying in the hotel is the early morning riding. So basically, if you do stay in the hotel, you'll get about an hour early entry to the park with some of the rides accessible to you before the general public can go in. If you're not staying in the hotel, we typically start our day in the Wild Woods. Now in the Wild Woods, it's got a couple of attractions. The main draw for me is Vampire. Vampire is one of my favourite attractions at the park. It's a steel suspended swinging coaster built by Arrow in 1990 and it takes riders on a thrilling ride through the Wild Woods. Now, as the Coaster Chicken, I don't mind admitting that I have only recently braved the Vampire in the last few years. Before that, the speed, 45 miles per hour, the height, 21 metres, and the fact that it is suspended, your feet have got nowhere to go, they're just free hanging, used to give me such anxiety. It was one I didn't like ducking out of, but I always managed to duck out of it because the anxiety's just got too much. I've got to be honest now, it's one of those I'll ride multiple times at the park because those thrills are so good. I also believe this attraction itself is the perfect gateway ride. 2 more thrilling rides for your family. So if you've got a young and ready to experience roller coasters for the first time, this is definitely the one I'd suggest getting on. If you're like me, you've got fears of roller coasters, I'd say this is probably a perfect ride for you to get used to some of the more thrilling elements that you're going to come across. The height limit on this ride itself is 1.1 metre, which is really generous. Can get quite a lot of your younger family members on this one to get them to brave their first thrill coasters. This is definitely Chessington's most popular ride, so large queue times are a definite. If you want to avoid them, like I say, ride it first thing in the morning. If you're using the hotel and it is one of the rides open and the early access, get on it then as well, you'll save a lot of time. But if you aren't able to do that, you aren't able to kind of ride it in the morning, don't worry, the queue line is actually quite a nice experience. You've got the ride passing over your head quite a lot and you've got quite a lot of good theming. The station itself is really well themed and it has an awesome vampire animatronic that's definitely worth checking out alone. Now the other ride in the Wild Woods is the Gruffalo River Ride, an indoor water attraction that opened in 2017. It's a good family one. If you're under the height of 1.1 metres, you do need an adult to ride, but there is no minimum height on this one. You do get a little bit wet on there. It tells a nice little story. Originally, this used to be Bubble Works. I know a lot of people do miss that ride, but it has been rethemed, like I say, to the Gruffalo boots. And I personally think it is a nice little experience for your family. Now, once we've finished in the Wild Woods, we head over to the Land of the Dragons, where the next thrill coaster is located. Now, that one is Dragon's Fury. Dragon's Fury is a Maurus spinning coaster. It's the sister to Spinball Whizzer at Alton Towers and works very similar way. With Dragon's Fury being a spinning coaster, it goes without saying that it's going to spin at some point. If you're not a fan of spinning, it makes you sick, it makes you queasy, dizzy, this might be one worth avoiding. If you don't like heights, this one does go up at 50 foot, so might also be one to avoid. If you are riding though, it is a good little ride, does provide some good thrills. If you like things like Spinball Whizzer at Alton Towers, this is definitely going to be one you're going to enjoy. It is a family thrill ride. You only have to be 1.2 metres to ride. There is a max height on this one though of 1.95 metres and a max chest size, so if you are on the bigger size like myself, just beware of that. The Land of the Dragons also has a couple of kids rides and a play area for the little ones. We usually do avoid them and head towards Wild Asia. Now the ride we do head straight for as soon as we enter Wild Asia is the awesomely well themed Cobra. It's a Zamperla Mega Disco ride, which I love. Now once again, if you don't like spinning rides, this one might not be for you, but it does deliver some really good intense family thrills. Height limit on this is 1.2 metres again, so pretty accessible for the whole family. And it does also have that same weight restriction as Dragon's Fury, so just beware of that if you are on the bigger end. This one does deliver some great views when you get to the top points. You can see all over the rest of Wild Asia, and if you look really hard you can see the tigers at Tiger Rock. Now Wild Asia does also play host to a really well themed Dodgems ride called Tuk Tuk Turmoil. It is always a lot of fun getting on that one, and it does also have a wave swinger called Monkey Swinger. This one, quite a fun one. It does have a bit of a twist. It has some water jets that spray up at you, so if you don't choose the right seat, you could end up getting very wet on this one. On our last trip, I picked unluckily and did get very wet. Monkey Swinger does have a minimum height limit of 1.2 metres again, so this one is accessible to most of your family as well. Does also have a max weight limit as well, so just beware of that one again. Just outside of Wild Asia is what's called the Parakeet Lagoon. It's a nice little walk-through area where the parakeets fly around. You can purchase some feed and get some lovely photos feeding the birds. One of the really nice things Chessington does manage to do is to incorporate its zoo and its theme park perfectly together, and this is a perfect example of that. Another wonderful example of theme park and zoo coming together perfectly to make an amazing attraction is Tiger Rock, which is funnily enough the next ride we head for. Now it's located in the Land of the Tigers, and it's a log flume that interacts with the zoo attraction. Now the attraction is home to 4 tigers that came originally from the theme park Kolmården in Sweden. The log flume itself does pass by the tiger enclosures in several different unique ways. You get some really good views of the tigers that you wouldn't normally get in a zoo. Now, there is a height limit on this one of 1.2 metres, and you do have to be 1.3 metres to ride alone. But it is a nice one. It's lovely on a summer's day because you are going to get wet on there as well. And like I say, the views that you get of the tiger enclosure are worth the ride itself. So after a ride on Tiger Rock, we usually head towards the Forbidden Kingdom. And this is the ancient Egyptian themed land, and it hosts the newest attraction at Chessington World of Adventures, Croc Drop. Croc Drop is an incredibly well themed drop tower which opened last year at the park. Now if you don't like heights, this one might not be for you. It does take a plunge of 25 metres into a crocodile's mouth. Now as a coaster chicken, the prospect of this drop tower did terrify me. Those type of rides always do create a lot of anxiety, a lot of fears in me. I'm not a fan of heights at all, and kind of the sudden drop is something that really does set me off. But the theming of this one was incredible. I did have to have at least one go on it, and it was really, really good. You do get high enough to see the whole park. The seats do spin around as well, so you get to see the whole entire park in 360-degree view before you do take those plunges. The plunges aren't too intense. It's not straight down all in one go. It is gradual, and it does go back up for a second, third time as well. The ride itself, once again, it is quite a family-friendly ride. You only have to be 1.2 metres to go on the ride. 1.3 metre can ride alone as well. Now, as you can imagine, with it being the latest ride at Chessington World of Adventure, it's going to get long queue times. I'd say, look, if you are staying as a hotel guest, and it is one of the attractions open during the early opening hours. Get on it. Otherwise, you've got to make a choice between that and Vampire first to avoid those big queues throughout the day. I've got to be honest, the cattle pen queue isn't much to look at either. Yes, looking at the attraction itself, it's quite breathtaking. It is really, really well themed. I've got to be honest, Merlin have done a really good job at taking quite a standard flat ride and turn it into a real experience. Now, the other ride in this area is an interactive dark ride called Tomb Blaster, in which you fight against the curse of the mummy. This one is a lot of fun, is accessible to all, there's no kind of lower height limit, but if you are under 1.1 metre, you will need to ride with an adult. That being said though, it is quite a dark ride. The ride itself has some very scary scenes. It is about fighting a mummy after all in ancient Egypt. And I guess if you are afraid of the dark, horror, or you are a child, this one can be a little bit frightening, okay? So just bear that one in mind. Now, once we've finished in the Forbidden Kingdom, we usually head over to the Zoofari attraction. The Zoofari attraction does take you on a ride through the safari area of the park. You can see the hotel at the back as well. Now, on this ride, you'll see things like giraffes, zebras and rhinos. For me, the ride is a nice little break, get off your feet for a little bit, but it is too short. You don't really see enough animals for me. And there is a really strange dark ride element at the end that I'm not quite sure what it's doing there. I'd rather just kind of see some more animals. That's what you're coming on the ride for after all. Minimum height to ride this one is 1 metre. If you're under 1.3 metres, you do need to ride with an adult. I'd say this one, like I say, for the interaction with the animals and getting up close and personal with them, this is definitely a ride for everyone. Especially if you're a wildlife lover, you're going to love this one. Usually coming off Zoofari is the perfect time for us to go and explore the zoo. Chessington World of Adventures has a brilliant zoo. It's really big and has a lot of different things. I'm going to be honest, you could probably spend a whole day just exploring the zoo. Like I say, you've got that kind of safari area that you can kind of explore in more detail after the ride, where you'll see the zebras, the rhinos, the giraffes. But you've also got a kids' petting zoo. You've got a sea life centre. There's a penguin area with penguins, of course. You've got a sea lion zone. There is a big area for wild cats, which includes your lions. You've got some wild dogs, all that kind of stuff there. There's a gorilla area. I could go on. There's so much stuff there to explore. I'd say, look, go have a look at the zoo. Don't forget about the zoo. Don't just concentrate on the rides, because the zoo is really, really, really good. A proper draw to the park. With it being a working zoo, you do also get all the kind of activities you'd expect at a zoo. So you've got your feeding times where you can go see all your favourite animals be fed. On the grass, they do a show where they introduce you to certain animals. On our last visit, the show that they were doing introduced us some pygmy owls and some giant stick insects. On the sea lion stage, there is a little show where you can watch them introduce you to the sea lions. They do some tricks. It's really nice. There's always something going on. They had an exhibition on our last visit during Halloween. Had to see some creepy crawlies, which was fun. Now, they do also offer a variety of VIP animal experiences that you can take part in for an extra upcharge. Now, these can be arranged either on the morning of your visit or pre-advanced if it's a special treat for somebody. These range from feeding a lion to walking a skunk and everything in between. Pop on the website to learn more. If the zoo isn't for you, there are still 2 roller coasters to experience in the theme park, and these are located in the Mexicana area, which has got a Wild West theme. Now, one of the 2 does boast having the largest height limit requirement in the park for any of its rides. So Rattlesnake is the park's Wild Mouse coaster, and it weirdly has a 1.4 metre height restriction. I say weirdly because that places it in the same kind of height restrictions you have to be to go on rides like Nemesis or Oblivion at Alton Towers or Stealth at Thorpe Park. While Thrill Rise, I'd probably put it under Dragon's Fury. It's not quite as thrilling as Dragon's Fury at this park, so I'm not 100% sure why it does have this height restriction. It's weird for the family park to have this ride that, unfortunately, most of your family can't ride. Now, Rattlesnake itself did open in 1998, which does go in part to explaining why it is such a rough ride. It reaches speeds of 28 miles per hour, and the corners it takes are very sudden jolts. Like I say, it will cause back pain on those. It's got quite a good few drops as well. Reaches a height of 49.5 foot as well. Nothing to be scared of on this one, but I'd always say if you've already got the credit, avoid it because it will cause you pain. On the other end of the scale, you've got the Scorpion Express in this area. Now this is the roller coaster with the lowest height limit, so you have to be over 0.9 metres to ride, 1.1 metre if you want to ride it alone. It is a Mack powered coaster, perfect ride really for the really small children that want to get on their first roller coaster. Goes through a couple of helixes. Now you do get 2 laps on the ride as well. The area is really well themed. They do have like a petrol pump interactive element where as the carts go past it does erupt, fire burst, really cool. The queue line itself I think does have some potential. With it being called Scorpion Express, there's a couple of areas in there that look like they used to be zoo attractions where the scorpions did live. I've got to be honest, last few years I've been there, I've never seen any scorpions in it. I don't know if that's something that's going to come back at any point or if that's something that's unfortunately been abandoned. But it is a nice little idea. I do like the idea of having something to look at, something to learn about while you're in the queues. Just makes them queues a bit less daunting. The only downside with Scorpion Express is it is quite a tight squeeze, especially for someone of my kind of size. So if you are my kind of size or bigger, just beware, you may struggle getting in there. It might be uncomfortable. Now Mexicana does also hold our favourite food spot on park, and that's Burrito. Burrito does Mexican food really, really well. We always find meals there are delicious. I'm going to be honest, you don't get an annual pass discount on this one, so if you have got your Merlin pass you can't use it here. But when the quality of the food is this nice, I've got to be honest, I can't complain. We usually eat there. Chessington really does have an incredible selection of children's rides. The new area they opened in 2020, the Rainforest, contains a drop tower, log flume and tracked ride that interact with rainforest animals. It's really nice to see. This goes past things like capybara and coyote. And these aren't just animatronics or statues, these are real animals that you get to see as you go around. At the centre of the park you'll find Chessington's iconic adventure tree. This ride is a carousel like no other. It's all themed to the various animals you'll find in the zoo, and it is a real beauty to behold. The adventure tree carousel doesn't have a lower height limit. If you are under 1.3 metres though, you will have to ride with an adult. Unlike most carousels, you won't be riding on a horse on this one. You got the choice of things like giraffes, capybara, zebra, but nothing as normal as a horse. As I said before, Chessington does have a lot of activities to do if you are a non-rider as well. Whether you're looking at the zoo, the shows on the main stage, the play areas that they have for the children, or you want to check out Room on the Broom. Room on the Broom is an interactive walkthrough based on the story by Julia Donaldson. It's a really cute experience and it's accessible to all ages and sizes. If you are under 1.1 metres though, you will need an adult to come in with you. But like I say, it is a nice little experience, something cute to go and do if you don't want to get on the rides. At this point of our day, we've managed to come full circle all round the park. We are now back by the Wild Woods. On the other side of the Wild Woods though is Pirate Cove. That's home to a sea storm and a pirate ship called the Blue Barnacle. Now the Blue Barnacle itself was new for last year, and boy can you tell, it is a stunning looking pirate ship and the whole area around it is really well themed. You do get quite a long queue for what is just a pirate ship. Like I say, the theming of the queue is really nice and does help with that one. Height wise, you do need to be a minimum of 1.1 metres to ride this one. 1.3 metres can ride alone. It's quite a standard pirate ship, so if you do like those kind of attractions, it is one for you. So once we come off the Blue Barnacle, that's us effectively doing everything we would do in the park. There are a couple of other kids attractions there that we don't usually do. If we've got time though, we will head back to the zoo, see some more animals, or pop on some of our favourite rides, get some re-rides on things like Vampire or Tomb Blaster. One of the best things with Chessington is there is always something going on at the park. They do hold a lot of festivals throughout the year. They bring with them special entertainment, special shows, whether it's Halloween, Winter's Tale. This year they've got a Mardi Gras event that I'm looking forward to checking out as well. On your visit this year, you may see some construction. They are currently building a new land set to be based on the Amazon. It's going to have 2 flat rides and a roller coaster. Rumour has it is going to be Jumanji based as well. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what we get to hear about as it comes up to the opening in 2023. So that marks the end of another Coaster Chicken Guide too. If you haven't been to Chessington before, I hope this does help you. If you have, I'd love to hear your opinions on some of the rides. Please comment below and let me know what you think. Thanks for your time today. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you've enjoyed it, please like, share, subscribe, and see you later.